Okay, today I thought it would be a great day to go thrifting. So I'm sitting outside the thrift store, getting ready to go in. I'm hoping we can find some amazing pieces that we can take home and easily DIY. Let's go.
Okay, for this first DIY, we're going to use a red vase. It's a beautiful tall vase, great shape. Not a fan of the color, but I knew that a little bit of baking soda paint, some baking soda mixed with some white acrylic paint would do the trick. So you just want to, I don't have measurements for this. I'm sure there's measurements out there somewhere in the World Wide Web, but I just mix baking soda with paint until I got, this time I wanted more of a consistency that was like super melted ice cream. I was going for less texture and more of a thin coverage for this. And so I just made sure that I covered everything from the little bit on the inside there where the red showed, the lip, and then all the way down. Then once everything was covered, I left it overnight to dry. The next day I went in with the same baking soda and acrylic white paint mixture and a chippy brush, and I applied a second coat to everything. This time really making sure to get in those brush strokes. That was the texture I was going for in this one, less of a stippling texture and more of a lined texture. So using that chipping brush, making sure I smooth out any drips and adding that much needed texture, and then leaving that to thoroughly dry overnight. Okay, now you're going to want to head to the kitchen and grab yourself some cinnamon. I just keep this big, giant, cheap one in the craft room. Add a bit of the cinnamon to your already mixed baking soda paint. If you find that it's too thick, just add a little bit of water to thin it out. And then using a foam brush, you're just going to spread this baking soda cinnamon mixture all over the vase in different places. And then I went in with a nice big thick brush just to sort of spread everything out, working that back and forth. So really, there's no way to tell you how to do this. It's just what you like and what you think looks best. So just going in with the white baking soda chalk paint mixture and then the cinnamon baking soda chalk paint mixture, and then just blending those together and going back and forth until the vase looks the way you like it. And now you're going to grab that cinnamon and you're just going to sprinkle. You're going to want to do this over the wet mixture, the wet paint mixture, so that it sticks. And you're just going to want to sprinkle a little bit in and then take that buffing brush and just, buff those cinnamon spots out. And then just keep working between the two paints and the cinnamon mixture, blending them in, adding color where you want it, adding more white where you want less color. And there you have it. I think a stunning faux stone vase. But what do you think? Do you think that it looked better red? I doubt it. The letter L is my favorite. Not only does it stand for our family name, but it also stands for love. So when I found this at the thrift store, I had to have it in my life. The tag was a little sticky, but a little Goo Gone got rid of that really quickly. I purchased some wood beads from Amazon really inexpensively in varying sizes, and I just arranged these on the letter L the way I wanted it and then hot glued them down. I wanted to give this simple L a little added interest and texture. These wood beads would do the trick. So just a little dab of hot glue will do ya. And just adhering the beads to wherever you place them to begin with. There were some hot glue strings left over, so just take some tweezers and pull them apart. And then I headed outside and gave everything a nice coat of chalk paint, spray paint in linen. And I gave that, it took a couple of coats, and I wanted to make sure that, pay attention to around the bead base, but go with light thin coats, let dry, and then go in again and just keep doing that so you don't end up with bunching. And then just take a bit of your antiquing wax. I'm using the Art Minds antiquing wax in the dark brown and applying a little bit with a foam brush, and then just sort of spreading it out, distressing it, thinning it out with a chippy brush, just to give it a little bit of interest and depth. And then going in with a damp cloth and wiping away any of the excess, and then going just back and forth with that until you achieve the look that you really like. Now the bottom of the beads, because they don't like completely flat, I found it was helpful to go in with a little bit of antiquing wax around the base of each of the beads and just add a little bit more with a small little paintbrush, and then kind of distress that with the chippy brush a little bit more. And again, just repeating those steps till you get the look you want. I found this candlestick and I loved its chunky size, but I did not love the color. So I took it outside and gave everything a quick spray paint. I didn't get too neat with this, just of some black spray paint. I just went with your basic Rust-Oleum black spray paint and gave it, a decent coat of paint, but you're not gonna see it in the end, so you don't have to be too perfect with this. Just make sure it's smooth. And then I had a huge can of Rust-Oleum white chalk paint that I bought for another project and decided to use some of it on this one. And using a large chippy brush, because it was such a big bulky candlestick, I went in and painted everything with a couple of coats of the white chalk paint, making sure that I got the sides and the top completely covered. Then came the tricky part. I left this a little bit longer than I should have. I would recommend that you kind of let this dry maybe a little bit overnight and then get to it right away, not wait a few days like I did. But just taking a damp cloth, rubbing back and forth over the candlestick until you take away some of that white chalk paint. If for whatever reason you find little parts that it actually goes right down to the original color, just go in with a little bit of black paint. A little bit won't matter. I find that this technique of spray painting first and then painting over top and distressing gives you the most realistic faux melamine look. I came across these wood, I don't know what they even are, bowls? I'm not sure, but there was two of them and I really regret not buying both. But I did buy one, and I just took some white chalk paint to really give it a distressed, softer look than the really harsh dark wood. I just went in with a chippy brush back and forth, getting all the sides, the back, every little detail. Then using some hot glue, I took a picture fastener. I just went with the hook kind and adhered it to the back of the wooden, I don't know, what would you call this? What would you call this? Leave it in the comments below. Tell me, what do you think this is? I truly don't know what this is, but it turns out brilliantly. She says so humbly. Okay, to finish it off, you're going to want to add something decorative to the clip. So you can use a picture, a family picture. I've used this to hold recipe cards, But this time I thought I would just go with something pretty. I grabbed a piece of drop cloth and a stencil that I got from Dollar Tree. I think it was last spring. It has two pretty birds on it. And then using a stenciling brush and a bit of decoupage, I put some decoupage on it to begin with so that the paint wouldn't bleed. And then I followed that up once it was dry with a smaller stenciling brush and some black chalk paint in Onyx. I believe it's Art Mines, but any black chalk paint will do. And I just filled in the stencil with the black chalk paint bouncing up and down. I didn't want it to go on too thickly. I sort of wanted it to look kind of worn. And then you see when I'm peeling it back here gently. Oh, that's pretty. I think that's pretty. And because I was just using an inexpensive drop cloth from Dollar Tree, I decided to paint on a little bit of decoupage on the ends so that it would prevent them from fraying too badly. And then I just had some clips from lights from Dollarama or Dollar Tree a while back that I just spray painted black, put a little bit of white chalk paint to make it fit in with the rest of the motif, and then hot glued it to the center. And that was it. Such simple little changes, and yet it made a world of difference, and I just love this in my kitchen.
Well, that's it for today's thrift flips. If you enjoyed those DIYs, make sure that you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I upload next, give me a thumbs up, and remember, until I see you next time, keep smiling and DIYing.